Yeah, it was a freeze up of not the.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter. And guys, Hank the Bass Geek is with us in the HQ tonight. And guys, we got a special guest with us tonight, Mr. Garry Mason. He is the founder and coach of Bethel University. And guys, if you've never heard about Bethel University college fishing team, you know nothing about college fishing. And hopefully tonight, after tonight, you're going to learn something about college fishing from, like I said, a man who helped get it started. So, but before we do that, sorry about the intro. I think everything is locked up, Geek. I mean, everybody's saying their phones are locked up. Everybody's having issues. We didn't get out of freezing today. I don't know what it is up there, Mr. Mason, down there with you, Mr. Mason, because you're down in Tennessee, but it's been cold the last couple of days. I mean, really cold.
Yeah, it's cold here in Tennessee too, and I appreciate the respect. You can drop the Mister and just call me Coach or Gary, and you just
All right.
but I do appreciate the respect. This gray and the beard gets me called Mister a lot, and I've threatened to put some little Grecian Formula 44 in there, but my wife said no, don't do it. So, but I got to do what the boss tells you. But I appreciate you guys having me on tonight, and I'm looking forward to discussing college bass fishing and pretty much anything else you guys want to talk about.
Heck yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, for you guys that don't know, I mean, college fishing, I want to say probably like in the last 5 years, probably a little bit further back than that, has made this big, huge push. I mean, it was something, you kind of heard about. It kind of started, but they made this big, huge push. Bassmaster invested a lot of money into college fishing because that was their feeder system.
Yeah, FLW too, and now
unfortunately, I got to hear a lot of flack from the Bass Nation members because the money was being spent on the college kids. So because there's not enough money, I mean, there ain't so much money to go around. But before we dive into this, let's talk about something coming up right here in this weekend, which probably, well, you guys are gonna miss it because we're gonna be in present tense because we don't upload till Monday. But all of us are going to the Raleigh Fishing and Saltwater Expo. I hope all of you guys had a great time. I want to tell you this. If you've never been to it, it's a really freaking cool show. If you're looking to buy a boat, they got duck blind boats, they got john boats, they got pontoon boats, they got $250,000 boats. I mean,
they got boats with 5 motors. I don't know how you do it.
They got boats galore. Let's just say that much. Plus a lot of tackle.
I can barely drive a one motor boat.
And the really cool thing is, I grew up saltwater fishing. I didn't know anything about bass. Pond and saltwater fishing is how I grew up. My grandmother, actually her brother, owned a huge dairy farm 20 minutes from where I lived. Nothing for Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons to go fishing on the pond. And my grandfather's brother had a place at Virginia Beach, and it was nothing for the Chesapeake Bay Bridge and pier. Nothing to go fishing on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge and pier to go fishing there. Charter boats, you name it. I have been out to where it goes from green to blue. So I mean, it's I've gone way on out there. Been in storms, watched the whole 9 yards. But I mean, this expo has it all. It really does. I mean, it covers a lot of great stuff, a lot of great speakers, and I've got tickets, not for that show, but for Richmond's show. I got a giveaway by then. So we're going to probably do some more. I did a little live the other night. I've learned real quick, don't announce you're going live because no one will watch. If you just go live, then everybody will start watching because they want to know what's going on. If you announce you're going live and tell them what you're doing, they won't check it out. But once they go live, they're committed. Oh God, I got to watch now.
See, it's what you do. It's called clickbait. You tell them you're going live, but you don't tell them what you're talking about.
Yes. And I messed up and said I was going live giving away tickets, and I think I ended up actually giving away a whopping 3 tickets. But we got more to give away. I actually got I think it's about 15 more tickets to give away to the Richmond Fishing Expo. By the way, like I said, this will drop on Monday. So me and Geek will be at the Richmond Fishing Expo. We're going down on Friday as soon as I get off from work. And it's like now I'll probably be down there, probably Geek about 1 or 2 o'clock by the time I stop and eat. And we're going to go to the show for a little while and hang out. Then we're going to do a men's night and just talk and hang out because, like I said, we don't get the opportunity to collab too often and geek out. And then we'll be at the show. I'll probably be at the show. I ain't going to say all day long, but I'll probably be up to at least 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to roll on to the house as my game plan, hang out with Mama before she goes to Texas on Monday. So there's a lot of traveling happening right here in my house neighborhood. We're all going to be going different ways this month, but tonight, like I said, guys, wait a second, I didn't give you a chance, Geek. I'm just rambling on. What you got going on real quick, Geek?
Hey man, just the same old thing, just dropping the videos Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, shorts in between on what is it, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. I do take Saturday off, do a little fishing or watch a little football. It just depends on what's going on. Really.
There you go.
That's it, man. I mean, we got some good videos coming. We're going to definitely be getting some vlogs in of the shows. And then, we always do the videos. What did I buy? I always spend way too much money when I go to all these shows. So I always try and find some unique baits. That's a great thing about these expos. Is, I always say, Z-Man didn't invent the chatterbait. They bought it. It's these small bait makers that, that really do a lot of innovating. And a lot of times your bigger companies come in and swoop up those snazzy new innovations. So make sure you get out there. And look at the things that you might look at and say, well, that's a gimmick because that might be the next big thing. And you just think it's stupid.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. You're right. And Mr. Mason probably agreed to that. I mean, like I said, it's just some of the stuff out there that you see now that this spring or this summer we'll be catching giant bass. And it'd be like, I could have bought that at this show and now I can't. So, and you are right about that. It's funny you said, I can't remember the guy's name. I can't remember. I just know the story, but he created it was a lizard, and the lizard, he didn't have the money for a patent, and I felt sorry for the guy, and it got swooped up, and a big company bought it, or didn't buy it, just took the damn thing, and they bought the patent. And it's a heck of a lizard. I mean, it really is. And when I see this guy, I buy all the lizards he's got because they're great. I love throwing a lizard here. We fish at James River a lot and love throwing it on the rock bottoms on the river. So, but like you said, keep your eyes open for just different baits that you're going to see at these expos. So,
100%.
But Geek did drop a video, Know Your Jerk Bait, Body Styles. I just shared it on the basscast.com, everybody. So, check it out. All right, Gary, let's talk about this, man. College, bass, fishing. Let's dive into it. Let's learn a little bit about you first, man. Tell us a little bit how you got involved into coaching a well-known college, and I know a little small college either.
Well, I was a professional hunting and fishing guide for close to 40 years here on Kentucky Lake where I lived, and I traveled abroad. I'm a level 2 sporting clays instructor, a retriever trainer. And so I'd spent my whole career learning how to do things better and learning how to teach people when they wasn't with me, how they could be more successful doing what we all love, and that's hunting and fishing. My daughter actually worked for the vice president, and I had been kind of helping the small team over the University of Tennessee at Martin because the college wouldn't even let them use their logo or anything.
Oh, wow.
So I helped them get some companies that would furnish them some baits, and even helped them get Mr. Earl Bentz on board with them where they could get a little discount off the Triton boat at the time if they wanted to. And they called me one day at Bethel, which is where my daughter worked for vice president, and wanted to know if I'd come over and talk to them about college bass fishing. One of the vice presidents had seen Bassmasters college fishing at the time and had watched it, and so I went over. I didn't know exactly what they wanted to talk about other than I knew they wanted to talk college fishing. and sat down with the two assistant athletic directors and the athletic director for about an hour, and they just asked me what I would do if I was going to start a program there, and I told them everything I'd do. Number one, I'd offer scholarships, which no one was doing that at the time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Number two, I'd have a budget just like any other team on the campus, and I'd run the program exactly like other teams with a varsity team and a junior varsity team, and allow those kids to come in and grow and learn. And that was in 2009. And they asked me if I would be their coach, and I said, well, I don't want to give up my guide career. I was also director of tourism for 16 and a half years here in Northwest Tennessee, so I had a lot on my plate. And they said, well, we don't want you to give up anything you're doing. We just want you to coach our program. We think you're the guy, and we want you to coach our program. And that was in 2009. We have 13 national titles under our belt and 19 regional championships and several other accolades, including having over 8 college guys or graduates from our program that had fished the Bassmasters Classic, 3 of which was in college when they fished the Classic. And that was Cody Huff, John Garrett, and Tristan McCormick. And Tristan was the only person to fish the Classic as a college angler and then go back the next year and qualify and make it into the Classic as a pro angler. So we've had a lot of wonderful things happen to us. I give credit to the good Lord up above, because he's the one that give me the wherewithal to get this done. But a lot of people, I've helped a lot of the other coaches that are now in college fishing set their programs up. I've had 2 of what they consider 3 of the dream teams of college fishing. The first one was in 2011, 2012, when I had Jake Lawrence and Jacob Hardy and Zach Parker and Matt Roberts and several more. And then in 2018-19, when we won 8 national titles in 2 years with Cody Huff and John Garrett and Cole Floyd, Carter McNeil, and several more. So we've had a great run, and proud to be here, proud to help other coaches with their programs, proud to help other kids. I can't recruit them all. I wished I could. I'd take 100 kids if I could get them, but I can't. But college fishing is in my heart, and I love it, and I enjoy doing it.
So how does this college fishing, you're talking about the recruiting process. Me and Geek, we know how the football process works. But what has Bethel, given you, to attract some of these big names?
Well, actually, what the kids have given us is I tell everybody, what these kids that come along in 2011, 2012 set the stage for us to become a powerhouse in the sport of college bass fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Once that was done, there was no high school fishing back then. TBF come along from Major League Fishing, or what was the FLW, and I started recruiting a little bit from there when I could. But there wasn't any high school fishing really when I started this program that you could recruit from. And then I helped Bassmasters get their college fishing kicked off. I mean, their high school fishing kicked off, and that's got really big now. And so there's a whole treasure trove of really great young anglers that's out there today that wasn't there when I started. I pretty much got kids who I knew their dad or knew their uncle or their granddad or their neighbor or somebody, and they said, hey, this kid's got a bass boat and he likes to fish. And I got them to go to college. But those kids in 2011, 2012, 2013 really kicked our program off by winning a lot of accolades, a lot of tournaments, both regional and national. And the other kids started watching them. They wasn't watching me; they was watching my guys.
Oh yeah.
Watching them, and before long, I was having kids come up to me at the Bassmasters Classic and other places saying, "I want to fish for you." Well, and then in 2018, 19, like I said, we won 8 national titles in those 2 years alone, and that really set the stage for me to be able to continue recruiting strong young anglers. In college fishing is different than high school fishing in the fact that the high school anglers have to have a boat captain. And it's really hard at times to know whether that boat captain is really good or whether that student angler is really good. And so I have all the kids that want to come to my program or want to try to attempt to come to my program fill me out a resume. 2 references or 3, but a resume where I can see kind of what they've done. I'm not looking for a Michael Jordan. I'm looking for kids that I can coach, yes, sir, no, sir, and kids that will come into my program willing to be a part of a team, because it's, in most cases, you mentioned the open anglers and Bass Nation anglers and stuff a while ago. In most cases, bass fishing is a single individual effort, or a team effort, with a team being a boat of guys.
Yeah.
Usually two guys. But when you get in college fishing, this is a team sport. It's like basketball, baseball, or football. You're helping your team, and you're becoming a part of something that's a lot bigger than you are as an individual. And that's what I try to preach is to these anglers, is that we're going to bring you in. We're going to put you together with a bunch of other top fishing anglers. But the main thing is that you're getting your education. And without the education, you don't get to fish. And there's been a lot of rumors out there for years about my guys not getting to fish as freshmen and sophomores. They're totally false. A lot of the other coaches will tell you that I've won national championships with freshmen and sophomores. So, but I do have a varsity team and a junior varsity team, and I allow my guys to come in on the junior varsity team just like any other program on college campus. That way they can learn and I can learn them. If you're going to put a kid in a pickup truck pulling a bass boat for 6-7 hours going to Lake Hartwell or somewhere like that, you got to know that he or she can do that, and that they can do it safely, because you got another person riding with them, and the safety of both those individuals is on my shoulders to make sure that I know they can do it safely, arrive and come back home safe. I'm with them every tournament. I don't miss a tournament, and so they've got me with them. I become the backup mechanic. Somebody asked me one time, said, "How do you coach a college fishing team?" And when you get there, and I said, "With a screwdriver and a tire iron."
That's awesome. Now let's talk about this real quick. And I really didn't know this until like a couple years ago, dealing with our Virginia Tech team that we have. Actually, that's the closest team to me. Yeah. But how do you determine what teams go to fish what body of water? I mean, I figure like everybody fish, and from what I learned is like some events, I think, what is it, two teams from each club can go, or how is that all kind of set up?
Well, no, it's more than that. It's for a lot of schools, it's more than two teams.
Okay.
If a college has got a coached program and the coach is only sending two teams, it's usually because of his budget and that kind of stuff. But pretty much, if I've got 12 boats, 24 kids on my team, I can pretty much get most of them in on any tournament that they go to.
Oh, wow.
Now, my varsity team, which would normally consist of about 10 boats, my varsity team would fish all the tournaments that we go to in most cases. And my junior varsity team would fish about 6 or 7 of those tournaments. And then I give everybody a chance, though, to qualify for a national championship. You're going to be in a tournament as a freshman with the opportunity to qualify. And if you qualify, you're going to get to go. But we're talking about, normally I've got 15 boats on my program, 30 kids, and it's hard to take them all, even with a good budget. But we try to stretch our budget out. Our parents help out, with some monetary stuff, and we try to take as many as we possibly can to every tournament we can take them to.
So it sounds like Bethel has dropped a whole lot of money in this bass fishing as a whole.
Several $1 million.
We're talking
years. So, yeah, they've spent a lot of money on this team. But I'll tell you what this team has done for them, and not belittling any other team on our college campus, because I love baseball, basketball, football. We've got archery, we've got shooting sports, and other sports, and they're all great. And the kids really work hard in every sport that we've got, as they do on all campuses. But this team, the fishing team, has been able to put Bethel University on a national map. Almost every time we go somewhere, we've got cameras in front of us. Because of our accolades, we're always being talked about by the directors and the MCs and the people that we are fishing with. So from California to Vermont, from New Mexico to Maine, everyone knows who we are. And I've had kids on the team from Washington State. I've got kids from California, kids from Maine, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. We recruit nationwide. So, we've been talked about like Alabama football, Kentucky basketball. And that's something that I hold very near and dear to my heart because we've worked really hard to get here, but we've helped our college on a national level get advertising and promotions that they would not have been able to afford it had they not had our bass team, in my opinion.
And so, talk a little bit about recruiting early on. How did you hear about the kids, when you started the program to say, 2000 and, the first 2-3 years, because like I said, you didn't have the high school programs. And then how has that changed, over the last, say, 2 or 3 years?
Well, when I first started this and there wasn't the high school programs to recruit from, being a fairly well-known professional hunting and fishing guide here on Kentucky Lake, I had a lake that everybody loved to bass fish on right here in my back door. And so I knew a lot of people that had kids. And either they called me or I'd call them and say, hey, would your kid like an opportunity to get a scholarship and go to school and get an education and fish? And, of course, all of them did. They wanted that opportunity. And I had, like I said, Jake Lawrence and Jacob Hardy, Zach Parker, Matt Roberts, Dalton Wilson, Randall Morris. Those guys was really good anglers when they come in as high school anglers. But they become greater anglers because they work together and they learn from one another. And, I raised and trained Labrador Retrievers most of my life. And I used to go to South Dakota for 2 months. And I would take a 10-month-old dog and put him with a seasoned dog. And that dog in 2 weeks would teach that young dog more than I could teach him in a lifetime. Same way with these kids. These kids will learn more from each other than they'll ever learn from me or their dads or granddads or whatever, because they're on the same level as those other kids when it comes to learning stuff. And
I like what you're saying there, but how do you, so I like what you just said too, but how do you even, how as a coach, this is probably one of your strengths as a coach, which, just like a football coach, how do you match the kids up yourself? Like you're talking about the dogs, but how you match the kids up to pair them to say, okay, the directions you want to see them go?
Well, there's several different ways that I do it, that I handle that. The first way is when I got freshmen come in, they're going to bond with each other right away because they all love to fish. And most of them, believe it or not, love to hunt too, but they're going to bond with one another. And one of them will come to me and say, hey, me and Fred want to fish together. We want to give it a try. Ironically, my greatest teams, Cole Floyd and Carter McNeil, John Garrett and Brian Paul, my greatest teams got together as freshmen and stayed together all the way through pretty much to the end. That's not to say that I don't have kids that's performed real well by getting on other partners, but if I pick 2 kids to fish together and it works, they'll pretty much stay together the whole time they're here.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's definitely, we've seen that happen.
Right.
But I didn't know if it's like a separate, a way you kind of, you took them out, took them fishing, or went fishing with them and said, okay, I think X would be a great pair up, and we'll be able to work to their strengths and, teach each other as they go along.
Right. Ironically, and you're probably not going to believe this, but I very rarely ever get in the boat with one of my kids. Certainly do not get in the boat or on the water at any tournament or practice that we're doing. And we practice. People ask me all the time, well, when do you practice? Well, we practice 1 or 2 days prior to the tournament on the waters that we fish. But my guys go fishing all the time. We've got some really good lakes around here. Kentucky Lake. We've got the 1,000-acre lake in Carroll County. We've got Gibson County Lake in Gibson County, all within about 30 miles of the campus. And so we've got some top lakes here for those kids to go fish. And so when I recruit kids, I'll either let them pick and choose their own partners, or I will have one of my juniors or seniors that's lost a partner through graduation, and he might pull one of the freshmen up and help him out, in which case that freshman goes right on the varsity team at that time. Or if it doesn't work, we'll switch partners and get people back together. But, one of the key things to this whole thing is teaching people to get along with other people. This is being a partner in a boat. If me and you, Brian, was going to be partners for the rest of the year, we're that's a marriage. We're bonded together, and and we got to work together. It doesn't matter what you know and what I know. We got to teach each other what we know. We got to learn to get along. We got to learn to fish together. We're going to be rooming together. We're going to be traveling in the truck together. So we're going to be eating meals together. You better learn to like the guy that you're with. You know.
So practice, even, without tournaments, do you require like a certain amount of days on the water a week or monthly, even when there's not tournaments going on? Do you talk to them about working on certain, from a coaching aspect? I coached, high school football, offensive, defensive line for 13 years. So from a coaching aspect, do you talk to them about working on certain weak points, techniques, that sort of stuff? Do you require them to be out there on the water a certain amount of time?
No, I don't have to because they're on the water more than I'd like them to anyway when it comes to their schoolwork. But what I try to do is I try to teach good study habits, good morals in school and out. One of the finest compliments I think that I have paid to me as a coach a lot is by our professors who will tell me, "Hey, coach, I know your kids when they walk in the door." Because they're just a little bit different. It's yes sir, no sir. Not to say that there's not great kids on every team we got. There is, and
Yeah.
But our professors are really into this program. They allow our guys to do some testing and stuff with me monitoring if we're out on the road, and we spend a lot of time on the road. We're liable to miss 2 weeks of school a month from the end of January all the way to the 1st of May. So we're on the road a lot, and it takes a lot from everybody as a support mechanism. But I don't talk to them much about techniques. These kids have already learned techniques, and they're learning from one another.
Mm.
They spend a lot of time on the water, and both here at home and abroad. And it's just.
Does Bethel give them like a budget or something? I mean, where's the money coming from for you? Like you're talking about the time spent on the water. Is the school paying for a lot of this? I guess
we have a budget each year that we work from, and we try to stretch it out so we can use it in as many tournaments as we can. Parents also help out, and we try to keep everybody on the road. But it's a combined effort of the school and the parents, and occasionally old coach even pulls $1 or $2 out of his wallet.
I bet you do.
Yeah,
but,
I bet you do.
I've been very fortunate. I bought a cargo trailer, and I've got all my tools, generators, and everything we need. And I usually pull it to the tournaments and have everything there for them. If there's a breakdown that I can help fix. If not, we'll try to find somewhere where they can be fixed.
Go ahead.
So today, and I'm circling back to recruiting just a little bit in today. So you've got a young kid or you got a parent that wants to get their kid into college fishing. What is the best way to get noticed, to be able to have an opportunity to come to, Bethel, to be able to fish for you?
Well, I get that question all the time, and I tell kids and parents that number one, make a decision where you think you want to go and who you want to play for. There's some other great coaches out here, some other great programs. I mean, John Render at McKendree, of course, Mike Keene just become a college for Tennessee Western coach. He was with Brian. There's just a lot of great coaches out there. Figure out who you want to play for, and then start getting in touch with that coach. I don't care if you're 10, 11, 12 years old. Start sending pictures of fish you've caught, tournaments that you've fished. The more information that you can give that coach, the more he's going to learn who you are, and before long, you're liable to wind up with a spot on his team. Unfortunately, I can only recruit about 8 or 10 young people a year. So I'm real limited on spots that I've got to take a kid, although I'm always looking for a really good kid. And I get a lot of phone calls from people that know where those kids are, and especially from friends of mine like Will Fowler that owns Frog Togs, Bill Sugg, that's CEO of Mossy Oak. I mean, Harold Knight's put 2 kids on me a couple of years ago from Cadiz, Kentucky, from his hometown. So I get phone calls, Charlie Ingram, even Jimmy Houston. If they come across a kid they think that will fit into my program with me, I'm the first one gets a phone call.
what'd be the one thing you'd tell young kids, that they need to work on to be able to prepare for college?
Learn how to drive the boat and the truck as soon as you possibly can.
That's kind of obvious, but yeah, I can see as that be pretty important.
But no, it's the more time they got behind the steering wheel, learning the depth finders and stuff like that, and they can't do that during practice or in their tournaments. But get on the water as much as you can with dad or uncle or whoever's your boat captain, and learn that behind the steering wheel time. Put the
and
rod
tell dad to let you run the daggum boat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ask him to let you back the boat in the water and put it on the trailer and all that kind of stuff, and learn how to do that. But put the rod and reel down. That's probably the most important thing that I tell people that's got young kids is get that kid to put the rod and reel down and turn the depth finder on and get out there and learn the lake. We're all fishing for the same 4 or 5 species of fish. Okay.
Yeah.
They do the same thing in New York that they do in Florida. They just do it in different habitat at different times of the year. And so learn the fish. I mean, the reason Kevin Van Dam's so good and Ricky Clunn and all these other guys, I just shot a TV show with Jimmy Houston about 6 months ago, and Jimmy wore me out bass fishing. We caught about 50-something bass, and I think he caught about 2/3 of them. But these guys know these fish so well. It doesn't matter if they're fishing in a farm pond or if they're fishing in a 12,000 acre lake. They know the fish, and they can find them and they can catch them. So put that rod down and learn the fish.
If we let's turn back the clock just a little bit on college bass fishing. What do you think got us to the point that we're at now? I mean, where it has become so huge. I mean, from where it was just a couple little schools to where, it got a big burst there for a little while around here. I mean, I know right here in Central Virginia, right here, to be honest, where I'm at, there's like 6 colleges that have a team. And, some of them are 1 boats, 2 boats, 10 boats. But what do you think got us to the point that we're at right now?
Well, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to hit this right, but I'll go ahead and put this out on the line. And it's technology. These kids were born with technology. They've had it in their hand all their life. They've had a cell phone. They've had they've had an iPad. They've had all this in their hand. Where us guys, like, I remember the first depth finder I had was a Lowrance flasher, in dash. Okay? And then I had to learn how to use a side finder. And then I had to learn how to use this, and I had to learn how to use that.
Yep.
And it's been a real trial and error thing for me. I'm 68 years old. So, but as a professional guide, I had to stay up with technology. I remember trying to learn how to use a handheld GPS. I had a Garmin handheld GPS, and I not ever figured that thing out. But when I did, the light come on. These kids are born with this technology.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they've embraced it. And that's why you see a lot of these kids. I mean, Cody Huff was probably the first person I know that was winning tournaments and championships with a live scope. He was beating everybody. He won a tournament for us down on Toledo Bend, brought his partner back up here to school, turned right around and went right back down there because he heard there was an adult tournament down there. He signed up for it and went down there and won it the next week. But whether you like the technology or not, technology is what keeps these high school and college kids into our sport. Same way with waterfowl hunting. I'm a big waterfowl hunter, and Arkansas banned Mojo decoys. And I told one of the commissioners, I said, this is a bad thing. I said, if kids had to start duck hunting the way I started, which was with a Converse pair of hip waders and an Army field jacket and freeze to death with a charcoal bucket, they would, and a jerk cord.
They ain't getting out there.
No. But you give them spinning wing decoys, you give them, all this jerk stuff now that's automatic and all this technology, and they embrace that. They understand it. And I think that's what's made this sport especially so big, so quick in the high school and college fishing ranks.
And, one of the other things, me and Brian have talked to a lot of young anglers. And, I think the misconception, we've talked about this a lot, is that the reason young anglers are so good is because of live scope and they can't do anything else. But, one of the things you were talking about travel earlier, these kids are traveling to 90% of the lakes or 100% of lakes, probably 110% of the lakes. They're fishing some lakes that some of the pro tours aren't even fishing, but they're fishing a lot of them that they are. The second thing is, and I'll tell you, the last young man we talked to, Brian, he talked about how he was traveling and staying with these people in different regions of the country and spending a week fishing up north or on the Potomac or down south. And they're meeting these people through college fishing. And I think that's because, unlike us, unlike a lot of the Bass Nation guys, when the Bass Nation was the only way to get in, they're building such a network through high school and college fishing that they now travel the country and hang out with each other and fish other lakes. And it makes them such a diverse angler in so many different waters and covers and structures and things that, I didn't have an opportunity to do, when I was younger. And I think that just is going to help the sport in the long term because these kids really are embracing it. And it's pretty impressive to watch the knowledge that they're coming away with once they get out of college, once they go into the Opens or the Toyotas or whatever, and how quickly they are able to just hit the ground running. It's been really impressive to talk to these kids over the past 2 years about that. And it's pretty neat that you're one of the guys that's got them there and kicked that off.
Got a big impact in all of this.
Building tomorrow's better angler.
And that's what these companies, and of course we were talking about Bassmasters right before we went on the air, and the Bass Nation guys. Bassmasters really hasn't put a ton of money in this college angling thing. When they give prizes out, which in my case comes back to our school, but they don't pay out a lot of money. And they do charge entry fees. Major League Fishing and Bassmaster charges entry fees. So that money that they do put out comes out of that money. It's not coming out of sponsorship money. It's not coming out of money that would be going to, say, Bass Nations or the Opens or the Elites. That's its own entity, and it's got its own money that they're utilizing. But I want to hit on something that you was talking about a while ago. Briefly, we talk about this live scope and technology, and thinking these kids wouldn't be where they're at if it wasn't for live scope. And I want to back up just a minute and say, when we started this in 2009, there wasn't a live scope. There wasn't a 360. There was a side finder, and there was so these kids were winning championships without all that. And still today, Cody Huff, John Garrett, Jake Lawrence, and kids from other teams could win tournaments without it, but they have embraced it because it's technology, and they'll embrace the next thing that comes along. The difference is us old guys, if we do embrace it, it's going to take us a lot longer to learn it because we're not willing to spend the time with it in our hand like they do. I mean, they're phenomenal with this technology.
We've talked about that here, Gary.
Yeah.
How these kids now, they've gotten. I mean, I don't know about saying lucky or anything, but they've made it a career.
Yeah.
Tournament bass fishing is, they've come through through Bethel and other colleges. Some got some were lucky enough to start in high school, but once they moved on to the Opens, have made it pretty much a career where it's 365. They're on a lake. The schedule comes out. And
impressive.
Cut off. They didn't hit about half a lake. So I mean, it's been a week there. So I mean, it's it's done got where I think there you go.
Here I am.
There you go.
For some reason it's stopped. Oh, there I am.
There you go.
I've often said that you could take one of these college anglers, not just from my school, but from a lot of the different schools. Take the 10 best college anglers you can find from across the nation. Put them in the tournament with the pros. And I can tell you right now, they may not win, but they will not embarrass you.
Listen, I just emceed the Ionic Tournament of Champions on Hartwell in South Carolina. And an open tournament the guy who won was a college angler. He had just, I think, maybe graduated, Brian, maybe a year before.
Yeah.
He won it, and we had some very big from both leagues, from the opens, 50 invite, no entry fee, and the college kids did very well. And one that was from college, who was in the opens, who had just qualified for the elites, I believe, won that tournament.
Well, and hats off to you guys for helping out with a tournament like that. I like the no entry fee type tournaments, although you got to have the sponsors to help cover those expenses, of course.
Big shout out to Ionic Batteries. They footed the bill. It was a really cool tournament.
Right. Well, like I said, I was director of tourism for 9 counties in Northwest Tennessee, and 2 of those counties touch Kentucky Lake, and so I helped bring in a lot of tournaments. And it takes a lot of money to put a tournament on. Most of these guys, and I say this with all due respect, but most of the, especially weekend anglers that fish tournaments, don't realize how much money and time it takes to put on a bass tournament of, say, 200 boats. And they don't see what goes on behind the scenes. They come, they get in the boat, they go practice a day, and then they fish a couple of days and they go home. But that tournament director, that sponsor, those people, they work in 6-7 months for that one tournament, to make things happen. And so hats off to all of you guys out there, and gals too, that help do this kind of thing. Without y'all, we couldn't do what we do, and that's love the sport that we're in. The one other thing I did want to tell you about the college anglers, though, is I don't know when I've ever met a finer group of young people than what I see each and every year fishing tournaments. And I hear all the time that, some kid will come in, he'll win a couple of tournaments in the year, and somebody say, oh, well, he's got to be doing something wrong. No, he's just that good on them particular waters. And these kids are good. Zach Parker and Matt Roberts had 54 pounds and 12 ounces in Florida. And broke the Bassmasters record for a two-day event, at the time. Then a kid from went to Amistad that was in college and broke that record by himself,
Holy cow.
These kids are very, very good. They're going to they're the fresh breath of our sport, because now they're getting into the elites and then the opens and then major league fishing, and they're going to carry the sport on, and they're going to do it very well.
Well, I've always said, especially at the Knoxville show, because it's a very large show, I've met a lot of young men and women, and it always amazes me. I've said this, Brian, I've said this 100 times, that if our young people get beat up on a lot, but if you meet these young high school and college anglers, like you said, it's always from every single one of them, yes, sir, yes, yes, ma'am, from the young men and women that are out there. They are very well mannered, they're very personable, and they're very you just tell, man, they're good kids. Have been brought up right. They've been taught the right way to.
And they're like a sponge. They want to absorb all they can from everybody they can. They'll pick out what they can use and what they can't. But I promise you, if one of them was on this podcast with us, they'd be absorbing everything they possibly could.
Oh yeah.
Let me dive into. Let's take a little piece right there from Geek a little bit further. I know you're not done college fishing. Coaching, and you guys still got a long ways to go, hopefully.
Well, I hope so.
But is there a particular student that you've had since 2009 that made an impact? They might not have been the best angler on the whole entire team, but made an impact in your life, sir.
Oh gosh, every one of them do. They're all different, but they're all alike. I love each and every one of them. A bad apple don't last long around me. I don't put up with a lot of stuff. They know what I'll put up with and what I don't, and I give them the opportunity if something happens that they can make it right. I believe everybody gets a second chance. Whether or not you get a third chance or not, that's right. But I love each and every one of my kids. The guys that have all gone pro, I'm very, very proud of them. But we've got a lot of guys that didn't have the opportunity to go pro, that I'm just as proud of. I will tell you this, probably Cole Floyd was probably the greatest high school angler that I had ever met. And when he come on my team, he was as good as anybody, most people that graduate from my team when he come on the team. He was a heck of an angler. His dad's a heck of an angler, and Cole had learned a lot from his dad. But I've had some of the best, finest young anglers on the planet. Now most of them are fishing pro, and then I've had a lot of other guys and gals that have gone on to work in the industry. There's 2 or 3 that's working in dealerships, boat dealerships, tackle and warehouse stores, stuff like that. And but I'm proud of them all. I really am.
Where do you see this? Where do you see the
Sorry,
sport?
go ahead, bro.
Where do you see the sport in about another 10 or 15 more years for college fishing?
I tell you, I see us needing a lot of high school boat captains. I can tell you that. But I guess where I see the sport in 10 years from now is I see it continuing to grow. I see us needing, and I've told Hank Weldon this. I've told Kevin Hunt this, and Kathy Fennell, and Dave Washburn. We need some more tournament trails. We've got 3 tournament trails right now. I've told Wade Middleton the same thing. We've got 3 tournament trails right now that are major tournament trails that we can fish in. We try to fish all 3 of them, but there's not enough tournament trails right now for everybody to fish that wants to fish in college fishing, and that's alludes back to what you're talking about 2 or 3 boats getting in a tournament from a school.
Right.
When you cap a tournament at 250 boats, which I understand why they do that, you got usually, if it's on a good lake, you got 200 more boats that don't get in.
Wow.
So what do you do with those kids? Where do they go fishing? So we're really needing for somebody else to step up to the plate and start a couple more tournament trails that these kids will have a place to fish. I'm not saying be in competition with Bassmasters or be in competition with Major League Fishing or ACA, but just be there for the kids to have a place to fish. And
So
that's what I see in 10 years from now.
So now working in a little bit on the dark side of that, being one of the people that really kind of have been around the college fishing for a long time, what are some of the changes you feel like to better both the high school and the college sport? What do you feel like, is there a little more organization to certain things, maybe bringing things together a little more? Or, I always talk about it, we talk about high school tournaments, and golly, some of these high school tournaments can be just massive with a lot of boats. And, I've always wondered, why they don't do it like they do other high school sports where you have region, where these teams face off against each other, and then you go in through to the state championship and on to the national championship. Seems like maybe at least at the high school level, there could be a little better organization to cut travel and expenses down. Am I right or wrong about that? You can go ahead and tell me. I've been married 30 years. Wife tells me all the time I'm wrong. So what are some of the things you feel like could be made at both levels to help out?
No, you're right to a certain extent. I think the biggest thing that we're going to need down the road is boat captains. We're having to turn, or, a lot of the organizations are having to turn kids down now because they don't have enough volunteers to be boat captains. And the other thing is, like Major League Fishing and Bassmasters that do have high school tournaments, they're going to have to start figuring out some way to make it exciting for the boat captains. When you set a boat for 2 days of practice and 2 days of tournaments, or 1 day of tournament, you're feeling like, well, I've done this 2 or 3 times and I don't want to do this no more.
Yeah,
we've got to figure out a way to, I said one time that, have a boat captains tournament on Sunday where the kids can fish with the boat captain still, but it's the boat captains tournament, or figure out some way to allow that boat captain to fish on the day that the kids are not competing. Let that boat captain fish for prizes. It doesn't matter. You don't have to put monetary value on it. but get some of the sponsors to kick in prizes. I mean, gosh, I don't know a boat captain yet that wouldn't fish for a Garmin live scope.
Yeah, that's true.
Or a monopole or something. But we got to figure out a way to get more people to be able to be boat captains. I know everybody's got jobs and other things like that, but there's nothing more rewarding than getting out there in that boat with that young person, high school age or even college age, and spending time with him in that boat. I said earlier that I don't get in the boat with my guys. I do occasionally, but usually there's two of them in the boat, and I want to learn from each other. But man, the days that I've gotten to go with some of my college guys, I've been amazed at what they know. And I tell you, I've been fishing all my life. I don't want to fish against one of these guys because they will whip me every day. Don't tell them I said that, okay?
Do you think there should be a cap on like some of these high schools? I mean, I understand what you're talking about. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've been a part of Bass Nation. I started through the Bass Nation. I was introduced through the Bass Nation, this whole entire thing when I got started. But and that was a big complaint about how many events, how many kids there were, and it was like finding the boat captains that need to be found. Like you were saying, talking about finding these boat captains, because if I got a boat, I want to go fishing. And I hate to say that, but that's usually the mindset of a lot of the guys out there. And you kind of wonder if they should make it the high school like the college. You got to actually go out there and register, qualify, and kind of say, okay, we're taking 5, 10 kids, 2 to a boat, 5 boats. It's all we need. And, it kind of makes it a little bit easier on finding boat captains, to be honest, instead of, at one time, the Bass Nation of Virginia probably had 20 or 25 kids. So, that's a whole lot of parents to find. And some of these people, thank God for it. But, a lot of the parents, I ain't gonna say a lot. I don't know how to say that. But I say 75% might not even fish.
Yeah.
Their kid, I wouldn't talk to
a lot of them that don't.
Kids up there. And hell, I ain't gonna lie. 1 out of the 20 that were sitting in there, parents had a boat.
Yeah, it's a big number. You're exactly right. It's a lot of these kids that want to fish, that have that desire. Some of them even come from single parent households where mom has to work 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that is anybody's fault, but you get as many kids involved as you can, and hope you don't leave anybody by the wayside. But boat captains is a big problem. We've got to figure out a way to get those guys enthused about being a boat captain. And the other thing too is, leading back to what I said about, we need more tournament trails out there, especially for high school fishing. Bass Nation is doing a great job. I know in Tennessee, Jake and Dave Lowry are doing a great job. Our Bass Nation state championship was huge this year. A lot of kids, and so they're doing a great job. Bass Nation is doing a great job. TBF is doing a great job. We just need more people pulling the wagon. Those guys have kicked everything off for us, but we got to have more people promoting this and pulling the wagon, because down the road, sooner or later, believe it or not, guys, we're going to want somebody to take us fishing.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
So,
also, I know Thomas ain't on with us, but I know Thomas would go the kayak route, which we've had a kayak series for a long time, and it's like, do you think that the kayak series will start taking anglers away, because I don't need a captain anymore? I can buy a kayak for $500 and go fishing and have a great day on the water, and you don't life jacket, you don't need to register or nothing. You just paddle. You might have to register if you get a Bixby or something, but other than that, you wonder if and that's one thing too about having to start to turn kids away, because you can't find the boat captains for a tournament. Because like I said, when I first got here, I ain't gonna say nothing, I think we kind of had the bad news bears of bass fishing. We got probably one of the best, Jack, which is our best youth director in Virginia right now, and he's been a youth director for quite a while now. Him and his wife do an amazing job and brought it back together. But, I kind of count shit. I was in the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts when I was a kid. I went through 5 directors before I found one as good. And by that time, I was too old to stay. I had to go.
Sure. Well, getting to what you said about kayaks, I own 13 fishing kayaks. My whole family fishes out of kayaks. When we get a chance, we've got a lot of waters that are not accessible to, to bass boats.
Yeah.
So we fish a lot of waters in our kayaks. But Chad Hoover's a great friend of mine. Chad has tried to do high school fishing through his KBF tournament trail, and one thing that I learned, and I tried to start the first kayak fishing team here at Bethel several years ago. But the one thing that I've learned is these kids don't want to do that. They want to be in bass boats. They want to fish in boats. They want to go fast, and they want to fish fast. And there may be one or two of them out there that likes to fish in kayaks when they get the chance. But for the most part, when you start talking about tournaments, they want to be in a bass boat. They want to be.
I ain't gonna say nothing. I might be going on 51, but I ain't buying no slow bass boat.
You still got a need for speed, don't you?
That's right.
Need for speed.
I don't go fast all the time, but when I want to be able to.
Well, I paddle about as fast as I can. But I've got bass boats and everything too.
Yeah.
3 War Eagle duck boats with gator tail motors on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But I know the deal.
Gary, thank you, by the way, for coming on and talking with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, anytime. Love
and it's the sport, like I said, I mean, I remember when it first got started and, how it's evolved and, some of the big names that we've seen to walk across the stage at Bassmaster Elite events. And, a lot of guys have made the elites through the high school and college. So congratulations to them. Before we go, man, you brought up a show you do, which I didn't know that. And we're going to let you plug that real quick and talk about your TV show and your hanging out with all these professional bass anglers that a lot of us wish we could even just talk to for 15 minutes. We're lucky to get 3 minutes at a show. But talk to us about how this TV show came about and how people can go watch it.
Okay. Well, in 2002, I looked around. I couldn't find a Hall of Fame for people in the outdoors industry as a whole. There was a Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame that started the year before that, I think in 2001. And then Pope and Young, and Boone and Crockett, which you had to catch, take an animal of magnitude to get in. But there was great men and women out there that I'd come up through the industry with that I was friends with, like Wade Bourne and Roland Martin and Bill Dance. I've known Bill, for eons of time. Harold Knight, David Hale, Brenda Valentine. I grew up with Brenda, and there were just people all across the outdoors industry that I was friends with. And I told my wife one day, I said, "There's not a Hall of Fame for people in the outdoors industry." I said, "Someone ought to do something about that." She looked at me and she said, "Well, aren't you somebody?" In other words, if you're going to complain about somebody not doing it, don't complain if you're not going to do it. So the very next day we started.
I like that.
We founded the Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame, and I think to date we have 168 members. We now have our induction ceremony the 3rd Saturday in August at the Bass Pro Shops in Springfield, Missouri, at the John A. and G.D. Morris Convention Center, and a lot of these Hall of Fame members come back each year to help us induct the new members. We do about 8 a year plus other awards. But 3 years ago, I started a television show as a companion product to the Hall of Fame, just to help promote the Hall of Fame and to help get the word out there that there was a National Hall of Fame, that people could go in, and to help gain knowledge about the Hall of Fame and about the great people that were in there. Because it's not just the in front of the camera guys that's in there. We've got biologists, we've got artists, we've got people from all walks of our industry that is part of our Hall of Fame, outdoor writers, and so on and so forth. But we have been able to promote that the last 3 years through our television show. Then, like I said, we're getting ready to start a podcast. But the television show, the best place probably to go watch it, and we're on all kinds of internet platforms, but to go to YouTube and punch in Legends of the Outdoors TV. And you can see all of our episodes there. And we try to post more as we come out with them.
Legends of the Outdoors TV. You guys heard it right here. Check it out on YouTube. You guys, he told me last year he recorded how many? 30 episodes?
Yeah, we probably put we showed
that's
we
insane.
26, but yeah, we probably recorded 36. A lot of our shows are it's in a hunting and fishing type situation, but it's also interviews with these Hall of Fame members as we fish and hunt with them, or maybe a group setting. I had one group setting that I had a year before last. I had Bill Sugg, Harold Knight, David Hale, Earl Bentz, Bruno Don, Joella Bates, and myself. And Hank Parker called in. Tommy Aiken was there, and we filmed the whole hour. Just never shut the cameras off, and had the best.
That is awesome.
So we're going to show that in a 2-part series. But we've had things happen like Harold Knight carried Bill Sugg and Cuz Strickland out, and Cuz filmed Bill killing a turkey that Harold called in, and then Bill filmed Cuz killing one. Then they give me the memory card and said, "Here, make a show out of this."
Oh my goodness,
but
that is awesome.
So
if you like the outdoors, you need to check out the show. There you go. Yeah. Fishing, hunting, you cover it all. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, that it looks like behind him, there's a lot of stuffed animals I see.
yeah, I can
look at that. Check out all them stuffed animals. Holy cow!
So. But yeah, this is my office. My wife calls it my man cave. When I get in trouble, this is where I come. I've got my own big screen TV and my own remote, so I'm in good shape.
There you
go. Man, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, Gary. We appreciate having you on tonight's show, talking to us about college and some of the high school bass fishing, the things that you've done, man, at Bethel University. Guys, if you, if you've never watched college bass fishing, you need to check it out. You're going to see some great young kids coming up. And like I said, he's talking about boat captains. And I know, holy cow, I know that's a hard thing. And it really is. And that's probably, it's not the kids I ever hear complain about, because we've had a lot of great kids come through the Bass Nation of Virginia here. It's just been trying to find boat captains. And I got, you were talking about more tournaments earlier, and some people have reached out to us about running a high school tournament with our regular tournaments. Sure. And we're trying to figure out how here we can do more with it. It's just the stakes have gotten pretty big in bass fishing right now. And, the men up here with me don't mind. They don't mind investing. Okay.
Well, I understand
parlaying, okay.
I understand that. Like I said,
so it's hard trying to find a way to kind of work it all together and make it all happen for both. But we're trying to figure it all out, and hopefully, and you like you just said, you were talking about earlier about more tournaments for kids, and it's been brought to our attention there needs to be more tournaments for kids to get out there, practice, learn, and work with other anglers. So hopefully a lot of us here in the year ahead can make that happen. But sir, anywhere anybody, are you on social media? I'm gonna ask you a question.
I am. I've got a couple of different Facebook pages. I'm just now learning Instagram and Snapchat, but Legends of the Outdoors or Garry Mason, 2 R's in the Gary. And anybody can get a hold of me through text messaging or through my email. My text message is, of course, 731-693-7770, which is my cell phone. Or you can contact me at my email, which is grmason@bellsouth.net. And all of that is on my website, which is legendsoftheoutdoors.com. So
there you go.
So you can find me pretty easy. Don't worry about the arrest records. The statute of limitations is all run
out. All right, guys. Like I said, hopefully you'll check out a college event this year in your neighborhood. Definitely check them out on TV. It's great TV, by the way.
Oh yeah.
That's I always hear a guy, we're making live TV. I don't want to mention this gentleman's name from Major League Fishing, but it is great TV. A lot of up and comers, and that's a cool thing. I mean, we all love baseball, and that's why we go to minor league baseball games to, get autographs and talk to young baseball players, because once they leave your little farm league here and go to that series, it's different. I mean, it's definitely different for baseball, but I mean, hopefully for college, professional fishing, you might not ever see these people again, unless you go to a Bassmaster Elite event or a Major League Fishing event or MPFL event. But support the local college kids. Before we wrap it up, Geek, anything you got left, man?
That's it. I mean, we appreciate you being on. Anybody that you want to shout out, the sponsors of the college or anything, go ahead and shout them out too. And other than that, like I said, we appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much. We got a lot of really great sponsors, more than I can probably list right here. But I tell you, people have been so very good to us. But the one thing that when I leave is God's been the best to us. So,
there you go.
Believe in your Savior, Jesus Christ, keep it on the water, stay safe.
All right. You guys heard it here. All right, guys, have a great week, everyone. Please be safe out there. It's still winter. It's winter time. And let's hope they call for a low amount of snow this year for us. So I'm hoping we're almost done with this mess and we can get out there and continue on the water. But have a great week, everyone, and we'll be right back next week right here on Basscast Radio.
Thank you, guys.